Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're looking at the unrealized supply in profit and loss of Bitcoin. So this is one of the charts that I've stumbled across lately, and I've just been going through a bunch of these figures and kind of looking at when Bitcoin's price was basically in 50% loss or 50% profitability. You'll see a little bit of what I mean in here, and it gives it a fairly good indication of when to buy Bitcoin. Obviously there's other things that go on, like the ETF, that could have an effect on buying Bitcoin that could actually shoot the price up. But this does actually track with that because it will show the data of who is in profitability and who is in loss. So because this is unrealized, it gives you a view of how much is actually out there that hasn't been sold currently or that has been bought previously and hasn't been sold off yet. So this comes from chainexposed.com, and you can just click on the unrealized tab, and it is the supply in profit / loss percentage. So we have a bunch of figures here that we can look through. This is in 2019, so the dip after 2017. You can see here the supply in loss is around 56% and supply in profitability is 43%. At the time, it would probably be a massive buy signal. I don't really go into technical analysis or any trading stuff like that, but that would really signify a massive buy signal for Bitcoin at that time. And then you come back here, you can see the same just before Bitcoin actually starts to really go up. You can see a 47 loss in supply and 57 supply in profit. So only around 50% of Bitcoin was in profit ranges. Remember, this is unrealized, so this means that they haven't been sold. And then the only one that I can think about after that would be FTX, where around 50% as well is in supply and 50% is in profit. So that's just historical data, but if we take it up here, you can kind of see, let's just go from the start of 2024 here. You can see that actually a lot of the supply is in profit. You can see 86% there as you start into 2024, and then we come down a little bit here, so 20%, that's kind of the lowest that we see apart from down here at 27%. So that kind of leads me to believe that people bought a lot at these all-time highs by here, and subsequently it's dropped lower here, so 27% as opposed to the 21% by here, even though the price of Bitcoin is still higher at this price. So it leads me to believe that that is the case, that people bought around here, and kind of the hype was going up. As you can see there, a lot of the supply is in profit as that keeps going up there, and I think it hits up to 100% there, and that would obviously signal the all-time high again, and that's probably why you see the sell-off right there. You don't really expect it to keep going up. This does also track for when you go back to 2021 that we see here, so 100% supply in profit because it is nearly an all-time high as well. And then we go back, if we keep scrolling back and we go to 2017, I think it's by here, 2017, 2018, you can see 100% of the supply is in profitability as well because it hits up into that all-time high there. So this kind of shows that people were buying it because it's still relatively at 100%. Right here, even at 8,000 up to 17,000, you can see basically the blue line hitting the top quite often. So I'd say that's kind of what we're looking for here, and it's kind of approaching that, and we are going to see probably within the next couple of months this blue takes up quite a lot of the graph, even though currently right now we're about 5% in loss. So as I said, this does track to the all-time high, so it doesn't give a natural figure of what the unrealized profit and loss would be going on in the future, so you couldn't track it to a price prediction of Bitcoin, but it still gives you an idea of maybe if you should buy. Like here, when it goes to 54,000, that means that around 25% of it is unrealized loss, and maybe that's a good time to buy it. As I said in loads of other videos, dollar cost average in Bitcoin is probably your best bet if you want just that steady profitability over the next couple of months, and then maybe take it out and roll it into something else. We can kind of see this as well in this unrealized profit and loss bands. So this gives you a better idea of the percentage that is in profit and loss. So we look here, go based off these figures down here. So you can see the colors. Blue is 1000%, so more than 1000%. The light blue is 500 to 1000. The slightly off green is 100 to 500, lighter green 50 to 100, and then the lightest green is 50%. Then as you go into orange, it's loss up to 20%, loss 20 to 50, loss 50 to 80, and then loss more than 80. So obviously you're going to see the loss more than 80 in those relatively low times in Bitcoin's price. So let's go to the start of 2024 again, and we can kind of see what this looks like. We have it for January up to October. So a lot of the profitability, or maybe I would say 25%, and that's been kind of steady, is that 25% range here that have more than 1000% in profitability. And then you can see an uptick actually when we're looking here in the two green lines, which signifies a profit of 100% to 500, and then a profit of 50 to 100 actually uptick very quickly as it gets into that all-time high range by there. But notice that this blue line didn't really budge too much, which means that a lot of the old Bitcoin that is circulating around wouldn't just pass the threshold of around 1000% in profitability. So the main jump, as we can see, was obviously in these two green jumps by here. I know that this kind of thing is getting in the way, but you can see around this area, the two green ones jump up very quickly. Even in the other very lighter green one, you can see the profitability is still good there. We don't see any of the loss more than 80% or more than 50% there as well. So the only ones that have really lost, if we go back here up to 80%, is back in 2011, 2012. So I don't know what that was caused by, but since then there hasn't been a loss of up to 80% on really anything. There has been losses of 50 to 80%, and there's a little one there that is in 2019. That was a 0.23% loss more than 80%. So it's just some interesting figures to look at. With the price of Bitcoin kind of nearly at an all-time high again, you can kind of see here, if we go on the year chart, this peaks up here, 71,000, we're at 66. It is really approaching kind of that Bitcoin bull run, and we're all kind of looking for it right now. It just kind of depends on how the market works out in the next couple of months. As I said in previous videos, it should be happening very soon with the Fed rate cut coming in November 6th. And then I believe that another one will be coming in December as well. So that's going to really free up a bunch more money, and hopefully some of it flows into Bitcoin right now. If you go cryptocurrencies by market cap, and then we can actually click on this chart, you can see that the market cap has kind of obviously followed the same as Bitcoin. But if we look at the all-time highs, because this would show us kind of how much market cap was floating in cryptocurrency at that all-time high last year. So let's go with around 3 trillion. And then when Bitcoin hits its all-time high here, it doesn't actually pass above 3 trillion. So there's around a difference of 300 to 400 billion within that. That kind of shows that there was more liquidity in the market back here at this previous all-time high, and there's less back here, which to me signifies that there's less altcoins that are actually going up in price as opposed to what we're seeing here. But hopefully we have, that same thing going on where this market cap just kind of explodes out from here in the next coming months. And then lastly, we have relative unrealized profit. So this is relative. Obviously, this is kind of the same as supply in profit and loss and unrealized profit and loss bands. This relative chart here is kind of the same that we're seeing here. It's just displayed a different way. But you can see that if it's in this red zone here, it's probably the best time to actually be selling off. But one thing that I have noticed is that this chart is pretty much exactly the same, but a smaller version of what we're kind of seeing here before this actually ticks up. So you can see here, you have this massive low here. It comes up and then comes up a little bit, dips back down, comes right back up, and then dips down again, and then shoots back up, and then comes all the way down, and then shoots all the way up there. So that's kind of the same chart that we're kind of seeing here. So dips down, up, spikes, down, and it should have gone through the roof at that point if you're kind of going off historical data. But maybe this is just the start of something that might happen later on. As I said, this is just relative and it is unrealized, so there's no real figures to put on it because we don't know how many people have actually bought or sold Bitcoin within the past years, unless you have extensive exchange data to show that. And then there also might be other transactions that aren't shown on exchanges. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you think about these charts. As I said, if you want to go over to chainexposed.com, you can check these out for yourself and look through the rest of them. There are a bunch of other ones in there, like age specific, demographic, and stuff like that. So leave a comment below what you think about these charts, and make sure you like the video and subscribe for more content like this.